Hello, I'm here in Copernicus Science Center with Wieslaw Kotecki,
Hello.
VP of UseLab and organizer and host of 7th edition of UX Poland. It's been a while since you started, right?
Yeah, it's 7 years.
7 years of working, 7 years of remodeling experience. Tell me, this year we are focusing on the matter of responsibility. How that happened and what does it mean for you?
How that happened? You know, every year we try to find some interesting theme. For example, last year it was, 2 years ago it was experience conference. So we were talking about the experience, like online, offline experience. This year we decided that responsibility, not only in design, it's very important stuff. It's just looking around us, all these bad things happening in the world, but it's not only about that. It's also about the changes in our society because of the technology, because of the business, because of the new companies and the growing economy. And as a designers and as a business folks, as a people who are responsible for creating services, we have to think about the impact that we have on the people, on their lives. Basically, now when the mobile is just in every pocket and we can design stuff which is in every pocket in the world, we have to think twice about designing anything, and that's why we decided to make it a theme of the conference, just to stop for a while and think about what we are creating and what impact it could have on people, on society, on countries, on economy. That's why.
Okay. You're talking about the increasing presence of technology in our life, and I think we all feel that and we are more or less aware of it, but we kind of get dependent on our gadgets. But with new things appearing on the market, like, I don't know, wearables, virtual reality, all these devices that right now they are gadgets, like, for example, camera phones used to be several years ago. What do you think will make the biggest impact? What will be the significant thing from the things that are emerging now?
You know, for many years everybody was talking about mobiles. That every year we said that it will be a year of mobile. But for me, interesting stuff. Of course, it's wearables, but for now it's gadgets, and I think it's in the present business models that they are working on. It will a gadget for a year, but in the future it would be only a gadget. But I think Internet of Things, but not in the sketchy, sexy way that we are thinking about Internet of Things. But I think this movement, the effect would be that our houses, everything would be connected to internet. But we don't want to think about that, and it would be quite, invisible. But for example, the workshop that we have yesterday about the smart electricity services, the thing about connecting stuff to internet and measuring electricity, and based on that some services with big data inside, it's the future. And the second thing, there are only two more. The one is, I think, all that stuff with self-driving cars, and that's quite dangerous on one hand, but on the other that could change everything in the world. And the other stuff is virtual reality. So now it's very new, but I really believe that, and it's not only about Facebook and Samsung, but other stuff, that's some kind of future of our experiences. Yeah?
Okay, you mentioned experience in utility bills, and for me it kind of sounds like completely opposite words. Like, in one hand you have the experience, the new things, the fresh and user-oriented and so on. And in the other hand you have this old world that we are used to with dull, undesigned, sometimes even hostile things, like, for example, your electricity bill, and how this comes together.
The thing is that we all still thinking about this utilities industry as a part of the country, of the government and administration. And for many years it was like that, especially in Poland and all those countries. But last 10 years, a a lot of things has changed, like law, for example. Now, with the regulation of the law, energetic industry is a private industry. So there are, of course, some limitation because of the security of the country. But in fact, all those companies, they're just like normal companies on the stock markets. So they're really thinking about changing services, making it more consumer-oriented. And the other thing is that for many years, the same company was producing electricity and selling it or distributing. And it was the thing, it was the country. But now they split it. So some companies producing energy and others selling it to the people. And those companies which sells electricity, they are doing a lot of innovation. So all the stuff that you are talking about, they are still happening, but it's changing very, very fast. And there's also other thing that, according to Gartner analysis, in next 5 years, the biggest company in the world dealing with electricity wouldn't have any infrastructure. So it will be like they comparing it to Uber or Facebook or Airbnb, the same model. So they will be like selling data and intelligence, and based on that, there will be a lot of services.
That's interesting. So one thing is competition coming into the picture, and more than one player on the market, and fast development from relatively low base, right?
Yeah, the thing is, you mentioned competitors, and if you think about Poland, for example, and if you ask people how many competitors there are on the ground, maybe people would say like 5 or 6, those big companies. But if you look closer at the picture, there are like hundreds of them, because now almost everyone can just connect to the grid and sells electricity, for example, from the solar panels. So you could be a producer and you can make money of that. And if you look at the other countries, for example, Netherlands, there are some web-based services. Then you can just choose anyone on the market, like, for example, agriculture guys from other part of Netherlands, and you can buy electricity from them. So, so you can the market is completely changed.
Okay, that's actually very interesting. And this is a strong trend that what you say will completely change our perception of electricity if that actually happens. It sounds like it will just become another commodity with multiple providers and multiple receivers.
You know, it's quite tough to predict the future, of course. And the thing with electricity is that you just don't want to think about that as a user. You just want your, water to boil. You just want watch your television and Netflix, etc. And you really don't bother about how it's happening. Okay, there are some people which are really, into saving money, and they want to, count everything, etc., and know everything about how much electricity they are just using in the home. But it's like a small percentage. So, of course, there are a lot of companies which are thinking about those sexy, applications with gamification, all that stuff. And of course, it's possible there will be some people interested in that. But in general, you just don't give a damn about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said before that Poland and countries from our region have certain specifics about people's perception of energetic sector and our situation. Would you say that in general we have different perspective on design? Because here on UX Poland we have speakers from states, from China, from England, from Netherlands, from many countries, and we have a long tradition of gathering people from all the places. And I'm actually pretty curious if you would say that what would be our specific in our Polish perspective or our European perspective?
I wouldn't say that we have any very specific perception of design. Design is just design, and the philosophy of design in general, I would say it's quite common. in Europe, in States, etc. Maybe it's a little bit different in Asia, of course, because of the specifics. But what's specific is just the context you have in your country, and you have designed for that context of people, of economics, or laws, etc. So UX Poland is quite interesting because actually we are not discussing about the philosophy of design, but about those little differences of context. And we have the common language, and we understand with the people from around the world excellent in terms of techniques. We are using the same techniques, the same tools, the same philosophy. Of course, it could differ from company to company, but it's all about the context of the country and on the industry. So I think it's more like that. I think that people from Poland can go to any place in the world, and if you just understand the context of the country and the people that you are designing for, it just doesn't matter where you come from.
Okay, so far into the UX Poland, we're on the second day. Anything that grabbed your attention, or anything that you are particularly looking forward to? Something that makes you more excited than other things?
Yesterday, the only thing that grabbed my attention was my workshop. So I was just like whole day in one room with 25 people, and I was thinking only about that. So, but now, you know, what I'm really looking for is just all the talks, and what I like in general. I'm not waiting for any particular presentation, but for all the flow and the atmosphere, and talking with the people. And if anybody asks me about the presentation I'm really looking for, maybe it will be Jason Ulaszek about UX for Good. Yesterday we have wonderful discussion about his activity, like, you know, NGOs activity in Rwanda, and how design can have great impact on changing lives actually, you know. So that would be interesting for sure. For sure, Kendra Schimmel from Cooper. Everybody knows Cooper, and she will be opening keynote. So I saw her once in Argentina, and it was really catchy. So yeah,
Okay.
Atmosphere, yeah.
And as far as I remember, that workshop you led yesterday, it was a rather specific group of participants. People from energetic companies, specifically UX designers. How did they interact together?
Yeah, the idea of the workshop was because we are working with partnership with Asseco, which is the biggest IT company in Poland and one of the leaders in utilities industry. So what we want to do, what we want to achieve, is just try to answer the question, what would be the future of electricity industry and those services that we are discussing. So I chose one of the service design tools, but I needed a good team of people, and I needed a lot of different perspective and knowledge just to create those services. So we invited people from business, from energetic companies like Tauron or Orange Energetic. We invited designers, UX service designers, just like top designers from the Polish market. The people from techs, from IT companies, not only from Asseco, also people from digital agencies and advertisement industry, because part of these services is of course communication, social media, etc. So it's also one of the big factors in this sector. And I chose also some people with interesting knowledge about VR, about accessibility for deaf people, about social media or Internet of Things. So 25 people in one room with completely different experiences, and the thing which was common was, I would say, open minds and creativity. So,
Okay.
so yeah.
It looks like Asseco, who is a golden sponsor of UX Poland this year, is looking at making some real change in a sector that was pretty untouched by experience design so far.
Yeah, that's what you're expecting from the market leader. So if you're a market leader, you have to look like forward, not only next year and your P&L. You have to look like in 5-10 years perspective. So that was our goal. Yeah, just maybe not to design anything specific, but try to understand the direction that the market could go, and based on that, I'm really sure that we will be doing that together. We'll be designing new stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
I hope we will hear more about that and what you came up with. Well, I'm never too enthusiastic about getting another bill, but maybe you'll change that.
Maybe there would be no bills.
That sounds great. Okay, I'll keep my fingers crossed for that, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to talking to you again.